fantasy lovers far and near, gather around because I have a tag just for you. Hey everyone, I'm Lenn Woolston, writer, blogger, nerd, and I am here today because I created a really fun tag. Now, if you have been following me for a while, you know that I write sci-fi and I write fantasy. Well, this tag in particular is all about my love for fantasy and to follow fantasy writers who just love things magical with endless possibilities, if you will. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into all of the questions and then I'll be tagging some people. So question number 1, once upon a time, an introduction. What fantasy project or projects are you working on? So the fantasy project I have right now is a young adult, what I call a martial arts fantasy that is centered around a girl named Ash who on her 17th birthday is ready to step into her role of being the future lady for her house. And in doing so, she has to summon the spirits to call upon a deceased ancestor spirit who will be her guide, and she will also be inheriting their weapon beyond the grave. So there is a problem, though, when she does her ritual. Turns out she gets soulbound to a stranger. So in hopes of being able to kind of clear up why the spirits have sent this stranger, she embarks on a journey to go to summon the help of the monks at the Cloud Temple. And in the process, she finds that this stranger may not be a stranger at all, and the very lady that is an opposing house that wants to overthrow her and kill her is on a war path and following her, but also may be having connections to her beyond the grave. If that sounds really interesting to you, you can go ahead and read more about that project up on my website. And now we move to the Fellowship, your writing community. Question number 2, the Samwise to your Frodo. Who has been the biggest support in your writing journey? I definitely have to give a shout out to my critique partner, my best friend. I am her Samwise to her Frodo. It is my dear, dear friend, Emily. She has helped me so much grow as a writer, and we just lean on each other for all writer things and life things in general. So thank you so much, Emily. If you're watching this, I really appreciate your friendship and all our funny conversations and everything that our relationship is. I also want to give a shout out to my other critique partner, Holly. Thank you so much for taking time to read all of my work and just putting in the effort to encourage me on my writing journey. And I can't wait for us to both be on the shelves at a bookstore together. And then finally, a huge, huge shout out to my husband who tells me to just keep pursuing my dreams. He's so good about just making me see the bigger picture and to remind me why I love writing so much. And I just don't know where I would be without his support. So, cheesy, but yeah. Thank you, husband. Question number 3, the journey to Mordor. What is your biggest obstacle in your writing journey? I can say that for me, my biggest obstacle is probably the self-doubt when I have those moments where I just feel like I'm stuck and I just don't know what I'm doing with the story, or I just feel this like nagging, like I want to write but don't have the energy or the time to, so then I feel guilty. That has been a big struggle for me. And the other kind of flip side to that is I generally feel self-doubt when I find myself comparing my work to other people's work. And that's something that recently I have realized that I need to stop doing and be proactive about it. And instead of looking kind of everywhere else, I need to focus on my own journey and my own path and be proud of the progress that I have thus had, and to just get excited because I know that my stories will be on the shelf soon, and so I just need to hang in there. And now, moving on to the love of Pottermore. As you can see, I have a lot. Question number 4. What house do you belong to? Well, this may not be a surprise. Again, if you follow me, especially on Instagram, I'm sure you've seen the plethora of posts about what house I'm sorted into. But if you haven't, get ready. Do a little drum roll. Ta-da! It's Ravenclaw. I know, big surprise, huh? Question number 5. What house would your main character be sorted into? This one's a little hard for me because my main character, Ash, is, she's a lot of different things. But I would say overall, she probably would end up as a Gryffindor because she is ready to just kind of speak up for justice, and she's very proactive, and she also has a sense of community that supports her. So I would, if I was the sorting hat, I would put Ash into the Gryffindor house. And now moving on to How to Train Your Dragon Mythical Creatures. Question number 6. What mythical creature would you love to see in more fantasy books? I can say for me that I love all things dragon. Like, I just love dragons. They're so cool. But there's a plethora of fantasy books that already have dragons in it. So something that would be kind of in the same realm, a little bit, would be I would love to see more fantasy books that feature Nessie, aka the Loch Ness Monster, because I think she's got a great story and I just might have to put her in one of my books. Question number 7. Does your main character have a mythical creature in their story? And if not, what mythical creature would they likely encounter? Now, I will spill a little of the details and tell you that the working title I have for my fantasy novel is Ash of the Phoenix. Now, what's really cool in this story is, I talk a lot about kind of like the spiritual realm and everything, and I will give a little tidbit that there is a moment where my main character Ash has kind of like a visionary dream, and it features a phoenix in it, and so there is a little bit of a phoenix there. So I would say that in general, if she were to encounter a mythical creature in real life, it would be a phoenix. And now on to Game of Thrones. Question number 8. Winter is coming. What season does your story take place? So for Ash, she begins her journey when it's kind of in that weird transition of, it's kind of like spring, if you will, but there are like times where it's like really hot, but then there's also this random rain that happens, which is very spring-like. So her season of this whole story takes place in kind of a spring, summer, if you will, story. Question number 9. I drink and I know things. What is your favorite drink to have when writing? This also is something that it's just part of me. It's bad. I mean, I guess it's like I have an addiction, but tea. I love tea. So I always have to have tea when I'm doing my writing sessions. Whether it's hot tea or iced tea, I have to have tea. That it fuels my writing. And finally, Princess Bride, as you wish. Question number 10. If granted to spend one afternoon with your favorite fantasy author, who would it be and why? This is such a hard question. I know. And even with me trying to come up with an answer, I really had to kind of scratch my brain for trying to come down to one author I would love to spend an afternoon with. And I think at the end of the day, I would love to spend an afternoon with Victoria Schwab, V.E. Schwab, aka Queen V, because I would love to just sit down with her and be able to talk about all things magical and witchy and people with superpowers, and to also talk about Scotland while drinking scotch. That would just be amazing. She has had a very successful career as a writer, and she also is so personal on her social media accounts, and she just seems like a really awesome person. So V.E. Schwab, I would love to sit down and pick your brain all about writing. So that is all the questions that I have for this tag. I'm going to go ahead and take the opportunity to tag a few other fantasy writers that you should definitely be following. The first is Megan LaCroix and also Sydney Bishop. These lovely ladies also write fantasy and you should definitely be following them. I will put links down below to their channel so you can check them out. And with that, I just want to say, if this is your first time here, thanks so much for stopping by. Please subscribe on your way out so you don't miss any of my posts on Fridays. And go out there and get some writing done. Until next video, bye!